Hi, my name is Grace Klein. I'm a student at Bloomsburg University, and for my global issues class, I wanted to talk about a topic that is very, very serious. It's human trafficking. Before I start, I do want to say, this is a very tough conversation to have, and bringing awareness to it is one of the best ways to try and stop human trafficking. Talking about human trafficking globally and how it affects all nations. So, to start off, we're going to talk about what is human trafficking. It involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. So, a lot of people just think that human trafficking is just sex trafficking, and it is not. There are different types. So, there's labor exploitation, sex trafficking, and child labor exploitation. It is a crime of exploitation of an individual. It is a worldwide issue, considered to be modern-day slavery. I think a lot of times we forget that labor exploitation does go into human trafficking, and it is very important to remember. Next, I want to talk about the victims and the traffickers. So, you have victims that can be of any age, race, ethnicity, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, nationally, immigration status, culture background, religion, social economic class, and education attainment level. Victims are anyone. They can be anything, and a lot of times we always get wrapped around that they're just women and children. And again, it's back onto the sex thing. It's anyone. With labor, it's literally forcing someone to do a job that is exploiting their needs. So, giving them breaks, giving them anything that would need it to have a healthy work relationship. And then we also have the traffickers, which aim to profit from exploitation of their victims and the Madrid coercion and deceptive practices they use. Can be strangers, friends, family members, anyone can be a trafficker. They use violence, manipulation, false promises of well-paying jobs, and also romantic relationships. So many times victims are in a situation where they feel they need money, and a lot of times they'll meet someone, and this person promises for, if you do this, you'll get this amount of money, and that is a lot of times how this happens. Now with children, they literally just take them and they don't really care. A lot of times for victims, these are like what traffickers look for. They're psychologically or emotional vulnerable, economic hardship, lack of social safety net, natural disasters, and political instability. Traffickers aim for people that they feel are down on themselves, and that is not taking away that anyone could be a victim. I don't want to say that. I don't want to put anything out there that would be like that. Nor am I blaming victims because they're in this situation. A lot of times victims are anyone that, or basically anyone. A lot of times with children, especially, this is more in the United States, they are people that are in like the welfare, and that other times some parents literally will sell their children to pimps because that's how they can make money. That's what they need to do to survive. So I wanted to talk about the effects of human trafficking. So basically, it's a human rights violation. It is modern day slavery. There's public health concerns due to the trauma that comes with human trafficking. And a lot of times victims don't feel like coming out because they're terrified. They don't trust the cops because a lot of times cops will blame them for putting themselves in the situation. And due to that, they fear it and they stay in it, and it then could lead to death. Crime, it affects a lot of our crime, and broken families. The statistics of human trafficking are 79 is sexual exploitation, 18% is forced labor, which I think is very important because, again, even myself, I failed to realize that human trafficking isn't just sex trafficking. It is forced labor. Almost 20% of all trafficking victims are children. Another good statistic, because, again, a lot of people just think that they're just children that are being human trafficked, and a lot of times it's adults. In some parts of Africa and the Moroccan region, children are the majority, literally up to 100%. Important to realize, because a lot of times when we think about human trafficking, we think that everyone is just put in a container in a ship and shipped away to another country. But a lot of human trafficking happens domestically, and it's the major form of trafficking. We do have a couple of ways to stop human trafficking. The main thing that is of importance is literally bringing awareness to it. Making sure that people know that, again, it's not just children, it's not just women, there's men. Allowing victims to be that got out of it to tell their story and tell people, like, this is what you should look out for when you see someone. It's not so cut and dry. It's not like a person that's just like a child that's like dirty and you can see them walking around with a man and they look scared. It's not like that. Another big thing that we have as countries, we made the United Nations Protocol Against Trafficking in Person. Although this is not legally informed, it is very, very beneficial because it prevents and combats trafficking in persons, protecting and assisting of victims, and promoting cooperation amongst countries. So with the United Nations Protocol, countries are able to try and figure out who they think is a trafficker, and try and get those victims to safety while making sure victims that are being saved have protection and assistance. So then we have the international legal frame, which is the UN Trafficking Protocol, and it serves as the foundation for national rights against human trafficking, ensuring consistency in definitions and actions taken by different countries. Again, very important. So different countries aren't like, well, this is my type of human trafficking, and then another place is like, well, you're missing this, you're not thinking about this. It forms a legal framework type of map. Like I said, the most important is awareness rising. Having awareness of what human trafficking is, what to look out for, is so important. And lastly, on this list, there is many more of ways the countries are trying to fight, but these are the ones I wanted to pick out because I thought they were most important, is victim protection. Making sure when victims are saved, in a sense, from this, they are able to get the therapy they would need, be able to work back into society, because think about how traumatizing and the abuse they go through. It is so important that victims feel heard, they feel taken care of, and it's just a very important situation. And I was watching a lot of videos because I wanted to be informed on this, and there are so many incidences where cops, literally in the United States, do not take people seriously. They think that if they're older, there's a lot of times, and this is a statistic, that people aren't going to take you seriously, and they're going to assume that you wanted to do this. And then it got too serious, and now you're stuck. So they won't take them seriously. And a lot of times, victims are prosecuted for being prostitutions when it's in the sense of trafficking with women or men that are older above the age of 18. When they come forward, a lot of times they will be charged with being a prostitute. And that's just a horrible situation to be in when the police are supposed to save you and help you. Now, I want to talk about the most important thing. If you or anyone you know could be in this situation, there is a hotline. It is 888-373-788. And in any country, you are able to just call, for the United States, 911, so whoever your law enforcement is, if you were able to get out. I want to bring awareness to a lot of victims, because a lot of people are like, well, why don't they just say something? They're put in a situation where if they speak, they could die. The amount of abuse that victims go through is horrible. A lot of times, individuals don't know the language. So, in places where a person from America could be taken to a place that speaks only Spanish and they don't know Spanish, what are they going to be able to do when they need to tell someone, like, hey, this is what's happening, what do I do? Like, they can't. There is so much abuse and coercion. It takes a long time. With labor, how do they get out of that? And a lot of times people aren't going to listen. So I think as citizens of the United States, we globally need to work with others to try and fix this issue, because this is an issue that's been going on forever, and it's violating so many things, and it's an important issue. And while reading about this and learning about it, I myself was like, well, this and this, but it's not like that. Like, I think I get stuck in the situation of like, well, victims can just leave, but that's not how it works. Thank you for watching my video again. This is a very triggering, tough subject. And if you are a victim, please reach out and get the help that is needed. Do not be scared. It's tough. I get it. And I hope that as the United States, when this happens, we're not so quick to judge. We're willing to listen to victims like we should. Thank you for watching.